So in this book, The Mastery of Love, he talks about, this is Don Miguel Ruiz. I don't know how many of you have read this book, but this book here is regarding the track of love and the track of fear. Well, this chapter that I want to talk to you about. And we live our lives most of the time with a lot of expectation and obligation. Okay, so we expect certain things to happen. We expect certain people to do certain things for us. We obligate ourselves and we obligate others. Okay, and this causes like a really huge problem. And that problem is something that we're going to talk about today. And I was going to just go off and talk about it on my own, but I thought, you know what? If it's not broken, don't fix it. He writes about it so well in this book that it's just easier for me to talk about it in his words. When he talks about the dream, he talks about our life, because we create our life as we go, right? So we create our life as we go. And that's why we actually forget a lot of our childhood sometimes, because like a dream, it just sort of tends to fade away. He also talks about heaven and hell as being something that is on this earth, because the choices that we make decide on whether we are living in heaven or whether our lives are in hell. Okay? So heaven and hell are kind of like right here. All right? So we need to decide based on our choices where we choose to live. So while I'm reading this, I really want you to sort of focus on what are you doing personally, because that's the only thing you have control over is what you're doing. So what are you doing personally that is putting you on the wrong track without you possibly even knowing it? Okay? So here I go. Your whole life is nothing but a dream. You live in a fantasy where everything that you know about yourself is only true for you. Your truth is not the truth for anyone else. And that includes your own children or your own parents. Just consider what you believe about yourself and what your mother believes about you. She can say that she knows you very well, but she has no idea who you really are. You know that she doesn't. You can believe that you know your mother very well, but you really don't have any idea who she really is. She has all those fantasies in her mind that she has never shared with anyone else. You have no idea what is inside her mind. If you look at your own life and try to remember what you did when you were 11 or 12 years old, you will hardly remember more than 5% of your own life. That's because your life is made up by dreams, many little dreams that are changing all the time. And dreams have a tendency to dissolve, and that is why we forget so easily. Every human being has a personal dream of life, and that dream is completely different from anyone else's dream. We dream according to the beliefs that we have, and we modify our dreams according to the way that we judge and according to the way that we are victimized. That is why dreams are never the same for any two people. In a relationship, we can pretend to be the same, to think the same, to feel the same, to dream the same, but really there is no way that that can happen. There are two dreamers with two dreams. Every dreamer is going to dream in his own way. That is why we need to accept the differences that exist between two dreamers. We need to respect each other's dreams. We can have thousands of relationships at the same time, but every relationship is between two persons and no more than two. I have a relationship with each one of my friends, and that is just between two. I have a relationship with each one of my children, and each relationship is completely different from the other. According to the way that these two people dream, they create the direction of that dream that we call the relationship. Every relationship that we have with mom, with dad, with brothers, with sisters, with friends is unique because we dream a small dream together. Every relationship becomes a living being made by two dreamers. Just as your body is made by cells, your dreams are made by emotions. And there are two main sources of those emotions. Every emotion comes from these two sources. One is fear and all the emotions that come from fear, and the other is love and all the emotions that come from love. We experience both emotions, but the one that predominates in everyday people is fear. We can say that the normal kind of relationship in this world, and these numbers freaked me out, the normal kind of relationship in this world is based 95% on fear and 5% on love. Of course, that will change. That will change depending on the people, but even if fear is 60% and love is 40%, it is still a relationship based on fear. In order to understand these emotions, we can describe certain characteristics about love and fear that I call the track of love and the track of fear. These two tracks are merely points of reference to see how we are living our life. These divisions are for the logical mind to understand and to try to have some control over the choices that we make. Let's look at some of those characteristics of love and fear. Love has no obligations. Fear is full of obligations. In the track of fear, whatever we do is because we have to do it, and we expect other people to do the same because they have to do it. We have the obligation, and as soon as we have to, we resist it. The more resistance we have, the more we suffer. Sooner or later, we try to escape our obligations. On the other hand, love has no resistance. Whatever we do is because we want to do it. It becomes a pleasure. It's like a game, and we have fun with it. Love has no expectations. Fear is full of expectations. With fear, we do things because we expect that we have to, and we expect that others are going to do the same. That is why fear hurts and love doesn't hurt. We expect something, and if it doesn't happen, we feel hurt. It isn't fair. We blame others for not fulfilling our expectations. When we love, we don't have expectations. We do it because we want to. And if other people do it or not, it's because they want to or not. It's nothing personal. When we don't expect something to happen, if nothing happens, it's not important. We don't feel hurt because whatever happens is okay. That is why hardly anything hurts us when we are in love. We aren't expecting that our lover will do something, and we have no obligations. Love is based on respect. Fear doesn't respect anything, including itself. If I feel sorry for you, it means I don't respect you. You cannot make your own choices. When I have to make the choices for you, at that point I don't respect you. If I don't respect you, then I have to control you. When I don't respect myself, I feel sorry for myself. I feel I'm not good enough to make it in this world. How do you know when you don't respect yourself? When you say things like, poor me, I'm not strong enough, I'm not intelligent enough, I'm not beautiful enough, I cannot make it. Self-pity comes from disrespect. Love is ruthless. It doesn't feel sorry for anyone, but it does have compassion. Fear is full of pity. It feels sorry for everyone. You feel sorry for me when you don't respect me, when you don't think I am strong enough to make it. On the other hand, love respects. I love you. I know you can make it. I know you are strong enough, intelligent enough, good enough, and that you can make your own choices. I don't have to make your choices for you. You can make it. If you fall, I can give you my hand. I can help you to stand up. I can say you can do it. Go ahead. That is compassion. It's not the same as feeling sorry. Compassion comes from respect and from love. Feeling sorry comes from a lack of respect and from fear. Love is completely responsible. Fear avoids responsibility. But this doesn't mean that it's not responsible. Trying to avoid responsibility is one of the biggest mistakes we make because every action has a consequence. Everything we think, everything we do has a consequence. If we make a choice, we have an outcome or a reaction. If we don't make a choice, we have an outcome or a reaction. We are going to experience the consequence of our actions in one way or another. That is why every human is completely responsible for his actions, even if he doesn't want to be. Other people can try to pay for your mistakes, but you will only pay for your mistakes anyway, and then you will pay double. When others try to be responsible for you, it only creates a bigger drama. Love is always kind. Fear is always unkind. With fear, we are full of obligations, full of expectations, with no respect, avoiding responsibility and feeling sorry. How can we feel good when we're suffering from so much fear? We feel victimized by everything. We feel angry or sad or jealous or betrayed. Anger is nothing but fear with a mask. Sadness is fear with a mask. Jealousy is fear with a mask. With all these emotions that come from fear and create suffering, we can only pretend to be kind. We are not kind because we don't feel good. We're simply not happy. If you are on the track of love, you have no obligations, no expectations. You don't feel sorry for yourself or for your partner. Everything is going well for you, and that is why you smile. Love is always kind, and that kindness makes you generous and opens all the doors. Love is generous, fear is selfish. It's only about me. Selfishness closes all the doors. Love is unconditional. Fear is full of conditions. In the track of fear, I love you if. I love you if you let me control you. If you are good to me. If you fit into the image that I make for you. I create an image of the way that you should be, and because you are not and never will be that image, I judge you because of that and find you guilty. Many times I feel ashamed of you because you are not what I want you to be. If you don't fit the image I create, you embarrass me, you annoy me, I have no patience with you at all. I am just pretending kindness. In the track of love, there is no if. There are no conditions. I love you for no reason and with no justification. I love you the way that you are, and you are free to be the way that you are. If I don't like the way that you are, then I'd better be with someone who is the way I like her to be. We don't have the right to change anyone else, and no one has the right to change us. If we're going to change, it's because we want to change, because we don't want to suffer any longer. Most people live their entire lives in the track of fear. They are in a relationship because they feel that they have to be. They are in a relationship where they have all those expectations about their partner and about themselves. All that drama and suffering is because we are using the channels of communication that existed before we were born. In the track of fear, we have so many conditions, expectations, obligations, that we create a lot of rules just to protect ourselves against emotional pain, when the truth is that there shouldn't be any rules. These rules affect the quality of these channels of communications between us, because when we're afraid, we lie. If you have the expectation that I have to be a certain way, then I feel the obligation to be that way. The truth is, I am not what you want me to be. When I am honest and I am what I am, you are already hurt. You are mad. Then I lie to you because I'm afraid of your judgment. I'm afraid you're going to blame me and find me guilty and punish me. And every time you remember, you punish me again and again and again for the same mistake. In the track of love, there is justice. If you make a mistake, you pay only once for that mistake. And if you truly love yourself, you learn from that mistake. In the track of fear, there is no justice. You make yourself pay 1,000 times for the same mistake. You make your partner or your friend pay 1,000 times for the same mistake. This creates a sense of injustice and opens many emotional wounds. Then, of course, you set yourself up to fail. Humans have dramas for everything, even for something so little and so small. We see these dramas in normal relationships in hell because couples are on the track of fear. In every relationship, there are two halves to that relationship. One half is you, and the other half is your son, your daughter, your father, your mother, your friend, and your partner. Of those halves, you are only responsible for your half. You are not responsible for the other half. It doesn't matter how close you think you are or how strongly you think you love. There is no way that you can be responsible for what is inside another person's head. You can never know what that person feels, what that person believes, all the assumptions that she makes. You don't know anything about that person. That is the truth. But what do? We try to be responsible for the other half, and that is why relationships in hell are based on fear, drama, and the war of control. If we are in a war of control, it is because we have no respect. The truth is that we don't love. It is selfishness, not love. It is just to have that little dose of what makes us feel good. When we have no respect, there is a war of control because each person feels responsible for the other. I have to control you because I don't respect you. I have to be responsible for you because whatever happens to you is going to hurt me, and I want to avoid pain. Then if I see that you are not being responsible, I'm going to knock you all the time and try to make you responsible, but responsible from my personal point of view. It doesn't mean that I am right. This is what happens when we come from a track of fear. Because there is no respect, I act as though you are not good enough or intelligent enough to see what is good or not good for you. I make the assumption that you are not strong enough to go into certain situations and take care of yourself. I have to take control and say, let me do that for you, or don't do that. I try to suppress your half of the relationship and take control of the whole thing. If I take control of our whole relationship, where is your part? It doesn't work. With the other half, we can share, we can enjoy, we can create the most wonderful dream together. But the other half always has to have its own dream, its own will. We can never control that dream, no matter how hard we try. Then we have a choice. We can create conflict and a war of control, or we can become playmates and team players. Playmates and team players play together, but not against each other. If you're playing tennis, you have a partner. You are a team. You never go against each other. Never. Even if you both play tennis differently, you have the same goal, to have fun together, to play together, to be playmates. If you have a partner who wants to control your game and says, no, don't play like that, play like this. No, you're doing it all wrong. You're not going to have any fun. Eventually, you won't want to play with that partner anymore. Instead of being a team, your partner wants to control how you play. And without the concept of team, you are always going to have conflict. If you see your partnership, your romantic partnership, as a team, everything will start to improve. In a relationship, as in a game, it's not about winning or losing. You are playing because you want to have fun. In the track of love, you are giving more than you are taking. And of course, you love yourself so much that you don't allow selfish people to take advantage of you. This is not selfishness. This is self-love. Selfishness, control, and fear will break almost any relationship. Generosity, freedom, and love will create the most beautiful relationship on an ongoing romance. To master a relationship is all about you. The first step is to become aware, to know that everyone dreams his own dream. Once you know this, you can be responsible for your half of the relationship, which is you. If you know that you are only responsible for your half of the relationship, you can easily control your half. It's not up to us to control the other half. If we respect, we know that our partner or friend or son or mother is completely responsible for his or her own half. If we respect the other half, there is always going to be peace in that relationship. There is no war. Next, if you know what is love and what is fear, you become aware of the way that you communicate your dreams to others. The quality of your communication depends upon the choices you make in each moment, whether you tune your emotional body to love or to fear. If you catch yourself in the track of fear, just by having that awareness, you can shift your attention back onto the track of love. Just by seeing where you are, just by changing your attention, everything around you will change. Finally, if you are aware that no one else can make you happy, and this happiness is the result of the love that is coming out of you, this becomes the greatest mastery of love. We can talk about love and write 1,000 books about it, but love will be completely different for each of us because we have to experience love. Love is not about concepts. Love is about action. Love in action can only produce happiness. Fear in action can only produce suffering. The only way to master love is to practice love. You don't need to justify your love. You don't need to explain your love. You just need to practice your love, because practice creates the master. That is one of my most favorite chapters in the whole wide world. So, anything that people want to share about that? When we stop having obligations or putting people under obligations, and when we stop creating this sense of expectation, we make things so much easier for ourselves. Nobody has to do anything for us, and we don't have to do anything for anyone. We do it because we want to. There's a funny story that I'll share. I was in a relationship, and in that relationship, he was a contractor. So I used to get up because I wanted to get up, and I used to get up every single morning. And he had this contracting company, and it was about like 5 or 6 guys with a little crew. And I used to get up every morning, and he was Portuguese, and he used to bring home these huge breads like this big. And I would cut them in half, make these giant sandwiches, and cut everything up and create and fill a cooler for him. And he would bring me a clean cooler every single day. And then one day the cooler started coming in, but it was dirty. And I didn't care. I just continued to make the sandwiches for his crew and for the kids, his kids. And I would go off to work, but I would wrap everything up and leave it on the counter. Then the cooler started staying in the truck. I still did the same thing, made all the sandwiches, wrapped them up, left them on the counter. So as I'm leaving for work, and I would get up early to do this, and as I was leaving for work, one day he stopped me, and he said, "Hey," and I was like, "What?" He said, "When you make sandwiches for me, you will go to the truck, you will bring in the cooler, you will clean it out, you will fill it up, and take it back into the truck." And I was just like, "What?" I said, "No, actually, I won't." And he said to me, "If you don't do it this way, you are not allowed to make me sandwiches anymore." So I can be a little bit sarcastic from time to time. So as soon as he told me I wasn't allowed to make the sandwiches anymore, which no one asked me to do, by the way, I was like, "Oh no, don't take that away from me. Too bad, no more sandwiches." Exactly, hell no. I was like, "I will never make you another sandwich again. In fact, when you're making lunch tomorrow, don't forget to make mine." So I, a couple of weeks went by, and he's like, I hadn't made any lunch, I didn't even mention it. And he snuggles up to me while we're watching TV, and he goes, "You used to love me." And I go, "What are you talking about?" And he goes, "You used to make lunches for me." And I said, "And you used to appreciate it. I will never do that again. You blew it." Needless to say, this man is not in my life anymore. But this is an example of expectation, obligation. I did something out of the goodness of my heart. I did something because I wanted to do it. And the minute it became an obligation with all these expectations, I was like, not happening. So this is what people do. We automatically resist obligation and expectations. We just do. It's just who we are. So it's a lot easier when we don't have these. Okay, so that's my little blurb today on expectations and obligations, and just being aware of what you're doing. Okay, what we're doing. Not so much what other people are doing, because you can't control that, but you can control what you're doing. Okay, and keeping in mind that the only thing in this whole wide world that we have control over is ourselves only. That's it. Nothing else. I can't even make my dog stop barking when I want him to. I can remember, you know, if you have kids, they probably don't listen all the time, right? Everybody has their own will. And I can't see this whole message. I'm going to try and see it all here. And I just want to actually look at this. Where'd it go? Oh, hold on. I've been thinking about my role in the breakdown of my marriage. I've spent so many years being angry and resentful that I honestly hadn't even considered that I could have approached things differently. Right? This message resonates as I start to think about possibly being in a new relationship someday and not making the same mistakes. It's very true. We bring our crap to the table. When I go out on dates, I do go on dates from time to time. So when I go out on dates, it's really funny because you go on date number 2 and someone says, so what do you expect from me? Like, what do you expect from a relationship? And I say nothing. And they're like, what? I said nothing. I don't expect anything. Right? And then what does that mean? You don't expect? Because usually a woman will give like a laundry list. If I want this, I want this, I want this, I want this, right? So I expect nothing. Be who you are. And by watching who you are, I will decide whether I want to be with you or not, whether that works for me or not. I don't want you to fill my laundry list of expectations. And you do the same. You know, you watch who I am, and either that works for you or it doesn't, right? Because the minute we try to fit into someone else's mold, that's only going to last for a certain amount of time, because we're not doing it because we want to. We're doing it because it's expected of us. So just, yeah, it's very true, right? Really easy. Like, I'm glad you agree. So it's this really cool thing, and just paying attention to what we are expecting from others. Let them be who they are. That's going to work for you or it's not going to work for you. You know, and even when we're asking people to do things, there's ways of asking them, right? Rather than sort of expecting and commanding and then being pissed off, because expectation and obligation set us up for disappointment. My father, when I was young, you guys work very well as a team from what I've seen, Lacey, absolutely. My father, when I was young, he used to say to me, and I thought it was such a negative thing, but now that I'm older, I'm smarter. And he said, expect nothing and you will never be disappointed. And anything you get beyond that will be a bonus. And I actually thought that was a negative statement. And he was so absolutely 100% right. Expect nothing and you will not be disappointed. Whatever you get after that is a bonus. Okay? So, just paying attention to how we communicate what we want or what we hope for from other people. And I'm just going to add one more piece into that, which I wasn't going to say, but I'm going to say anyways. How we talk to people matters. So when you do want to sort of stress how you are feeling, try not starting with the word, you make me feel like. That is an accusation. Okay, and that gets people's backs up like right away. So even if you are dead right in what you're saying, like let's just say your partner is leaving all their dirty undies everywhere and you don't want to clean them up, right? So, and you make me feel like, I'm your slave. You could be like dead right there. But it's the way that you say it. You make me feel, or you do this, or you do that is an automatic accusation, and it gets people's backs up. So instead, exactly right, Justine. I feel like I'm not being appreciated. I feel unappreciated. I feel like my feelings don't matter. And if someone loves you and cares about you, then they will automatically be in there going, I don't want you to feel that way. Like, what can I do? Right? So being very mindful on manual about how we are voicing our feelings. and what we would hope to get and what we need help with, and when we are asking for things. Our words matter. Words have power. Okay? Because when you start off with, you make me feel, words are 7% of our communication. The other 93% is our nonverbal, right? So you make me feel is an accusation, and what is the body language behind that? Okay? So you need to, your tonality, your gestures, all of that matters. We have to be very vigilant and paying attention to how we speak to other people. And absolutely think about, how do I want someone to tell me that? Do I want them pointing their finger at me and telling me stuff? Like, no. Right? So just how would we want that communicated to us? Other people deserve that same respect. Right? No matter who they are. Even if they are being a bink. Like, you still have to, I'm serious here. Like, you still have to communicate to them properly. Because they have bad behavior doesn't mean that it's okay for you to have bad behavior as well. So think about what you're doing. And a lot of times you might stop any kind of fight or conflict happening if one of you can just pay attention to what you're doing. I used to have this, not that it saved my relationship, but I used to have this saying with my partner, which was, only one of us gets to be crazy at a time. So if one of us has lost our shit, which happens from time to time, the other one needs to keep it together. And if you allow yourselves, only one of you, to be crazy at a time, hopefully neither one of you, but it will help a lot of conflict. Anyway, that is my little talk today on expectation and obligation. I hope that you got something from that. And that's it. Thank you again. I never know how to end these things. Okay, so I could just talk to you forever. I think you guys are great. So I'll see you again very soon. Bye for now.